YouTuber woobers. So I haven't done a microgreens video in quite some time, and yes, I'm still growing microgreens. Now, what I'm not doing is I'm not doing the farmers market, and I'm also not selling to the store that was at the farmers market. If you recall, I was selling to them. Actually, I was selling to my surplus last year's farmers market, and also when the farmers market ended, I would continue to sell to them sporadically throughout the winter. Um, that particular store, they don't have a way of keeping most of their vegetables cold like a refrigerator. They don't have those plastic coverings. I think they got the cooler that nobody wanted, and so anything that's dainty like mushrooms, microgreens, they're almost at room temperature. So in the beginning of the summer, they kind of commented that, gee, they're not lasting long. It's your fault. It's not our fault. And I said, I put them in my refrigerator. They'll last 2 weeks. So I just stopped selling them to them because they were ultimately blaming them on me and not they wouldn't take personal responsibility. So instead of trying to, fix it because they weren't willing to fix it, I just stopped. I wasn't really making money selling them because I messed up because I started selling, my wholesale price is $1 an ounce. And it seems to be pretty much market value around here because microgreens hasn't taken off like it should. I was really wishing that by doing the microgreens at the farmers market for 3 years, it would really kickstart the popularity, but it's still a very small audience. I suppose if I was a little more aggressive salesperson, I would go after local restaurants, but I'm not an aggressive salesperson. So oftentimes when I would finish the farmer's market, I would end up with whatever I ended up, I just didn't wish to bring home. So I'd give away because, I basically had 3 customers: the farmer's market, the farm stand next door, and the farmer's market store. There's a store at the farmer's market. The farmer's market was in the parking lot, and then there was also a gas station, health food store, repair shop type thing there. So that kind of ended that thing, and what I was growing for them was a mix, a salad blend. And that would be the radishes, the sunflowers, the pea greens, some corn, kind of the delicacy variety. They weren't really interested in just sunflowers. My neighbor farm stand, they're only interested in sunflowers. They have a very lucrative, well, I wouldn't say lucrative in the form of what they can grow. Farm in greens, and they do eggs, and they have a farm stand which they bring in products from area farms. So the only thing that's really unique is the sunflowers. So I grow sunflowers for them. And so I continue to grow for them. And that's it, So basically I'm just growing enough to sell to them. And, I'm making somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 to $15 a week, which isn't like a whole lot, but it's just enough. So I'm not exactly planning my trip to Florida or Australia just yet. on the proceeds of my microgreens. I probably more or less just break even. But the question about farming is that just because you know how to farm, do you have, is it something that you have to do? And I don't have to grow tons and tons of food and then just end up giving it away, because anything I have surplus, because your lifespan, I have about a week to sell sunflowers to the farm next door. If I end up with a really good week and I have a lot of crop, and they only want to buy a certain number, the rest of them are either going to go through them the following week, or I'm going to be giving them away. And it's a pricey thing to just give away, or it's going to go into the compost pile. So I'm not that aggressive these days. My passion is really to enjoy shooting video and other hobbies, playing around with computers and stuff. So I don't need to, do it. I mean, I haven't really bought any mushrooms this year because I don't have a market for it. If I was aggressive, might be able to sell to area restaurants the fresh mushrooms. But it's also, I need to be able to buy this product up front and then be able to sell it out. So, I'm not sure if it's really worth my time. I have to drive up to meet them and, pay up front and then come back and deliver. I mean, it's very feasible. And I haven't totally given up on it. But just because I know how to do it, should I do it at all? I didn't grow anything outside because I've been working on redoing siding and new windows, and there isn't any place in the yard that's sacred to them. So even just growing some tomato plants wasn't really a feasible thing. So they even haven't put in my outside spigot yet. That was supposed to be done back in April, and it hasn't happened yet, and it's September. I have to run a hose from the kitchen faucet out a window to water plants. So right now, I'm just as happy growing, my sunflowers for them down the road. If I have some left over, I chow down on them myself, and I give them to a neighbor. And that's it. So it's kind of an interesting, it's a whole interesting thing, but I've been seeing some other videos of people just find out that the microgreens are a niche market, and you've got to have people willing to buy it. And if I wanted to be aggressive about it, I could go to a different farmer's market. This farmer's market is 15 minutes from my house. But the time I do for the farmer's market is I can't survive just on microgreens. So I have to sell mushrooms, I sell eggs, I sell a few other things, and it's even still, if I have to give away microgreens because I ended up with extra, that comes out of the profit, and there's still the expense of sitting there on a chair for 4 hours. And if I factor in some kind of labor there, that really cuts into it. So you really have to be making over $100 a week in profit in order to make it justifiable to go do that kind of thing. So, I've been shooting video. As you can see, I've been doing all kinds of video. And, It's kind of where my passion is right now. It doesn't make me any money, but I enjoy it. And that's really what's the matter is life, is enjoying your life. So, um, dig in some dirt if you want to. You should at least have a house plant that you can talk to and serenade. And that's it. Ta-ta. Da-da-pa-pa-pa. Da-da-pa-pa. Da-da-pa-pa-pa. Ba-da-pa-pa. Ba-da-pa-pa-pa. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Don't mind me. There's a stop button here somewhere. Peace for enough for all. Food, water, clothing, health care, housing, education. Peaceful enough for all.